Cinderella, but without the helpful creatures. Then make it Japanese and set in the 1920s or 30s. Beauty and the Beast, but make the Beast alarmingly handsome and with a bad reputation. Add a dash of fantasy, a sprinkling of mystery, and a heaping pile of family drama. Top it all off with a sweet, healing romance, and you got My Happy Marriage. With a title like that, I wouldn't blame you if you initially dismissed it as some melodramatic soap opera thing, but I hope you give it a try, as this happens to be one of the most anticipated animes on my list, and is also beautifully animated and voiced, with music by the genius responsible for the Violet Evergarden soundtrack, which, if you're new to this channel, happens to be one of my favorites. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. That's what Mio thought when her father announced that she would be married off to a man who was rumored to be cold and cruel, and who'd already chased away several other fiancé candidates before her. But Mio has nowhere else to go. She's the oldest daughter of the Saimori house, but she's treated like a servant. Kaya, her younger stepsister, mocks her, her stepmother scorns her, and her father ignores her. But this Cinderella gets the shock of her life when she arrives to her new home and lays eyes upon her husband-to-be. He is far from welcoming, but having nowhere else to go, she must make sure that she's not the next bridal candidate to be shown the door. There were some really great things about this first episode, but I'm only going to cover a few of them, which I think are the most important. First was a point of view. Let me elaborate by revisiting the prologue. We get a scene with Mio standing in front of a blossoming cherry tree as she reminisces on her past and how it was bleak and full of sorrow. The lovely cherry tree suddenly bursts into flames, switching into a burning house. While we are not sure what the full significance of the cherry tree is, or whose house is burning and whether it's just a symbol for, strife or war, or if it's foreshadowing an event that is yet to come, Mio doesn't look too horrified or scared. In fact, she states that, quote-unquote, everything changed when I met him. Now, what I loved about this little prologue was that it created a sense of intrigue and let us have a glimpse of her thoughts. The light novel is lovely, but it feels heavy in the beginning as it is mainly told in Mio's point of view, which was pretty depressing in just how hopeless she feels about life in general. In fact, when I was doing a live read of the first chapter, I had to assure everyone that it got better and beg them to please just stick with it, promising that it was not all gloom and doom. The anime gets around this problem by limiting just how much we get of that internal voice of hers, and rather than have her narrate and tell us how she's been mistreated over the years, the anime shows us through her interactions with her so-called family, the family servants, and her one and only friend, as well as other scenes and conversations that weren't in the book or which were totally reworked for the anime. The second thing I like to point out is the absolutely beautiful way this was all animated. Sorry to say, but sometimes janky animation takes one out of the story, no matter how wonderful the story might be. I'm looking at you really, Anna. Now, not once while watching this episode did I ever have to think about how awkward the animation felt or how they were cutting corners here to save on the budget and, things like that. The only time I ever thought about the animation work was when I was admiring some particularly lovely camera work, some tracking, or some unusual but highly effective camera angles. Overall, a great deal of care was given to this story. I especially liked how well it was directed. I loved how the farewell scene with Koji was handled. Yes, a tearful farewell under the rain is the height of melodrama, but I don't care. It was very fitting considering the situation. And I would be remiss if I did not mention one of the most heartbreaking montages I have seen in a while. Man, when it comes time to show Mio's past, the entire sequence, which starts when she leaves her family home and makes her way to Kyokakudo's house, it is incredibly beautiful. Tears were shed, I tell you. Again, directing, music, art, everything was really lovely, and while we got a glimpse of the city and the people of that world, these details, being super important in a story with a historical setting, I hope that in time we get to see more of the world of My Happy Marriage, along with seeing Mio blossom and find happiness in her new life. But did you guys think of episode 1? Where do you think the story is going next? The fantasy and magical aspects come into play soon and play a very important role in this story. Anyways, do check out My Happy Marriage. You definitely won't regret it. See you for the next episode. Until then, bye bye.